Kamagyanatimirandasya Gyananjalashilakya Chaksharandritamyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaye Krishnapresthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namni Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Parashata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Living entity cannot steadily remain either in sense enjoyment or in renunciation. Change is going on perpetually, and we cannot be happy in either state because of our eternal constitutional position. Sense gratification does not endure for long, and it is therefore called chapal sukh or flickering happiness. For example, an ordinary family man who works very hard day and night is successful in giving comforts to the to the members of his family, thereby relishes a kind of mellow, but his whole advancement is of material happiness immediately terminates along with his body as soon as his life is over. That is, they are taken as the representative of God for the atheistic class of men. The devotee realizes the presence of God by devotional service, whereas the atheist realizes the presence of God in the shape of death. At death, everything is finished, and one has to begin a new chapter of life in a new situation, perhaps higher or lower than the last one. In any field of activity, political, social, national, or international, the result of our actions will be finished with the end of life. That is sure.
Bhakti Rasa, however, the mellow relish in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, is not finished with the end of life. It continues perpetually and is therefore called Amrita, that which does not die but exists eternally. This is confirmed in all Vedic literatures. Bhagavad Gita says that a little advancement in Bhakti Rasa will save the devotee from the greatest danger, that of missing the opportunity to be a human being in the next life. The rasas derived from our feelings in social life, in family life, or in the greater family life of altruism, philanthropy, nationalism, socialism, communism, etc. Do not guarantee that one's life will be as human being. We prepare our next life by our actual activities in the present life. A living entity is offered a particular type of body, a particular type of a result of his action in his present body. These activities are taken into account by a superior authority known as Daiva, or the authority of God. This Daiva is the explanation of the Bhagavad Gita as the prime cause of everything. It is, and in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that a man takes his next body by Daiva Nitrena, by which means by the supervision and authority of the Supreme. In an ordinary sense, Daiva is explained as destiny. Daiva supervision gives us a body selection from 84 lakh species, 84 lakh forms. This choice does not depend on our selection, but is awarded to us mm, according to our destiny. If our body at present is engaged in the activity of Krishna consciousness, then it is guaranteed that we will have at least a human body in our next life. A human being engaged in Krishna consciousness, even if unable to complete the course of Bhakti Yoga, takes birth in the higher divisions of human society so that he can automatically further his advancements in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, all bona fide activities in Krishna consciousness are Amrita or permanent. This is the subject matter of the nectar of devotion.
Benefits of Bhakti. This eternal engagement in Bhakti Rasa can be understood by a serious student upon studying the nectar of devotion. Adoption of Bhakti Rasa or Krishna consciousness will immediately bring one to an auspicious life, free from anxieties, and will bless one with transcendental existence. Will immediately bring one to an auspicious life, thus minimizing the value of liberation. Bhakti Rasa itself is sufficient to produce a feeling of liberation because it attracts the attention of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Generally, neophyte devotees are anxious to see Krishna or God, but God cannot be seen or known by our present materially blunt senses. The process of devotional service, as it is recommended in the Nectar of Devotion, will gradually elevate one from the material condition of life to the spiritual status wherein the devotee becomes purified of all designations. The senses can then become uncontaminated, being constantly in touch with with Bhakti Rasa. When the purified senses are employed in the service of the Lord, one becomes situated in Bhakti Rasa life, and any action performed for the satisfaction of Krishna in this transcendental Bhakti Rasa stage of life can be relished perpetually when one is thus engaged in devotional service. All varieties of rasas or mellows turns into eternity. In the beginning, one is trained according to the principles of regulation under the guidance of the Acharya or spiritual master. And gradually, when one is elevated, devotional service becomes automatic and spontaneous. Eagerness to serve Krishna and spontaneous eagerness to serve Krishna. There are 12 kinds of sadhas which are explained in the nectar of devotion, and by renovating our relationship with Krishna in five primary rasas, we can live eternally in full knowledge and bliss.
The basic principle of the living condition is that we have a general propensity to love someone. No one can live without loving someone else. This propensity is present in every living being. Even an animal like a tiger has this loving propensity at least in a dormant stage, and it is certainly present in the human beings. The missing point, however, is where to repose our love so that everyone can be happy. At the present moment, the human society teaches one to love his country or family or his personal self, but there is no information where to repose the loving propensity so that everyone can be happy. That missing point is Krishna. The nectar of devotion teaches us how to stimulate our original love for Krishna and how to be situated in that position where we can enjoy our blissful life. In the primary stage, the child loves his parents, then his brothers, his sisters, and then he daily grows up. As he daily grows up, he begins to love his family, society, community, country, nation, or even the whole human society. But a loving propensity is not satisfied even by loving all human society. That loving propensity remains imperfectly fulfilled until we know who is the supreme beloved. Our love can be fully satisfied only when it is reposed to Krishna. This theme is the sum and substance of the nectar of devotion, which teaches us how to love Krishna in five different transcendental levels.
Boundless love. Our loving propensity expands just as a vibration of life or air expands, but we do not know where it ends. The nectar of devotion teaches us the science of loving every one of the living entities perfectly by the easy method of loving Krishna. We have failed to create peace and harmony in human society, even by such great attempts as the United Nations, because we do not know the right method. The method is very simple, but one has to understand with a cool head. The nectar of devotion teaches all men how to perform the simple and natural methods of loving Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we learn how to love Krishna, then it is very easy to immediately and simultaneously love every living being. It is like pouring water on the root of a tree or supplying food to one's stomach. The method of pouring water on the root of a tree or supplying food to the stomach is universally scientific and practical, as every one of us has experienced. Everyone knows well that when we eat, immediately distributed, when we eat something, or in other words, when we put food in the stomach, the energy created by this action is immediately distributed throughout the whole body. Similarly, when we pour water on the root, the energy thus created is immediately distributed throughout the entire entirety of even the largest tree. It is not possible to water the tree part by part, nor is it possible to feed the different parts of the body separately. The nectar of devotion will teach us how to turn one how to turn the one switch that will immediately brighten everything and everywhere. One who does not know this method is missing the point of life.
As far as material necessity is concerned, the human civilization at the present moment is very much advanced in living comfortably, but we still are not happy because we are missing the point. The material comforts of life alone are not sufficient to make us happy. The root cause of our dissatisfaction is that our dormant living propensity has not been fulfilled despite a great advancement in the materialistic way of life. Nectar of devotion will uh, give us practical hints how we can live in this material world, perfectly engage in devotional service, and thus fulfill our all desires in the in this life and the next. The nectar of devotion is not presented to condemn any way of materialistic life, but the attempt is to give information of religious, religionists, philosophers, and people in general how to love Krishna. When we live without material discomfort, but at the same time, one should learn the art of loving Krishna. At the present moment, we are inventing so many ways to utilize our propensity to love, but actually, we are missing the real point, Krishna. We are watering all plants of the tree, but missing the tree's root. We are trying to keep our body fit by all means, but we are not. But we are neglecting to supply food to the stomach. Missing Krishna means missing oneself also. The self-realization and realization of Krishna go together simultaneously. For example, seeing oneself in the morning means seeing the sunrise also. Without seeing the sunshine, no one can see himself. Similarly, unless one has realized Krishna, there is no question of self-realization.
Definition of pure devotional service. The authorized description of bhakti or devotional service following in the footstep of previous uh, acharyas can be summarized, summarized in the following statement by Srila Rupa Goswami. First class devotional service is known by one's tendency to be fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, serving the Lord favorably. The, the purport is that one may also be in Krishna consciousness unfavorably, but that cannot be counted as pure devotional service. Pure devotional service should be free from the desire for any material benefits or for sense gratification, as these desires are cultivated through fruity, fruitive activities and philosophical specialization. Generally, people are engaged in different activities to get some material profit, while most philosophers are engaged in pros- prosposing transcendental realization through volumes of word jugglery and speculation. Pure devotional service must always be free from such fruitive activities and philosophical speculations. One has to learn Krishna consciousness or pure devotional service from the authori, authorized by authorities by spon, spontaneously loving service. Acting for Krishna, the essence of bhakti. This devotional service is a sort of cultivation. It is not simply inaction for people who like to be inactive or devote their time to silent meditation. There are many different methods for people who want this, but cultivation of Krishna consciousness is different. The particular word used by Sri Rupa Goswami in this connection is Anushilan, or cultivation by following the predecessor teachers, acharyas. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Without activity, consciousness alone cannot help us. All activities may be divided into two classes. One class may be for achieving a certain goal, and the other may be for avoiding some unfavorable circumstance. In Sanskrit, these activities are called pravritti and nivritti, positive and negative action. There are many examples of negative action. For instance, a diseased person has to be cautious and take medicine in order to avoid making his illness worse.
Those who are cultivating spiritual life and executing devotional service are always engaged in activity. This activity can be performed with the body or with the mind. Thinking, feeling, and willing are all activities of the mind. When we do not, when we will to do something, the activity comes to be manifested by the gross bodily senses. Thus, in our mental activities, we should always think, we should always try to think of Krishna and try to plan how to please him, following the footsteps of the great acharyas and the personal spiritual master. There are activities of the body, activities of the mind, and activities of the speech. A Krishna conscious person engages his words in praising the glories of the Lord. This is called Kirtan. And by his mind, a Krishna conscious person always thinks of the activities of the Lord as he is speaking on the battlefield of Kurukshetra or engaging his various pastimes in Vrindavan with his devotees. In this way, one can always think of the activities and pastimes of the Lord. This is the mental culture of Krishna consciousness.
Similarly, we can offer many services with our bodily activities, but all such activities must be relationship with Krishna. This relationship is established by connecting oneself with the bona fide spiritual master, who is the direct representative of Krishna in the disciplinic succession. Therefore, the execution of Krishna conscious activities with the body should be directly by the spiritual master and then performed with faith. The connection with the spiritual master is also initiation. From the date of initiation by the spiritual master, the connection between Krishna and the person cultivating Krishna consciousness is established. Without initiation by the bona fide spiritual master, the actual connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed. This cultivation of Krishna consciousness is not material. The Lord has three general energies, namely the internal energy, the the external energy, the internal energy, and the marginal energy. The living entities are called marginal energy, and the material cosmic manifestation is the action of the external or material energy. Then there is the spiritual world, which is manifestation of the internal energy. The living entities who are called marginal energy perform material activities when acting under the inferior external energy, and when they engage in activities under the internal spiritual energy, their activities are called Krishna conscious. This means that those who are great souls or great devotees do not act under the spell of the material energy, but act instead under the protection of the spiritual energy. Any activities done in devotional service or in Krishna consciousness are directly under the control of spiritual energy. In other words, energy is a sort of strength, or this strength can be spiritualized by the mercy of both the bona fide spiritual master and Krishna.
In Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Lord Chaitanya states that it is a fortunate person who comes in contact with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. To one who is serious about spiritual life, Krishna gives intelligence to come in contact with a bona fide spiritual master. And then, by the grace of the spiritual master, one becomes advanced in Krishna consciousness. In this way, the whole jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness is directly under the spiritual energy, Krishna, and the spiritual master.
Definition of a pure devotee. The definition of a pure devotee, as given by Srila Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, can be summarized thus: his service is favorable and he is always in relation to Krishna. In order to keep the purity of such Krishna conscious activities, one must be freed from all material desires and philosophical speculation. Any desire except for the service of the Lord is called material desire. The philosophical speculation refers to the sort of speculation which ultimately arrives at the conclusion of voidism or impersonalism. This conclusion is useless for a Krishna conscious person. Only rarely by philosophical speculation one can reach the conclusion of worshipping Vasudeva or Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita itself. The ultimate end of philosophical speculation then must be Krishna, with the understanding that Krishna is everything, the cause of all causes, and that one should therefore surrender into him. If this ultimate goal is reached, then philosophical advancement is favorable. But if the conclusion of philosophical speculation is voidism or impersonalism, that is not bhakti. Karma or fruitive activities is sometimes understood to consist of ritualistic activities. There are many persons who are very much attracted by ritualistic activities described in the Vedas. But if one becomes attracted simply to ritualistic activities without understanding Krishna, his activities are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Actually, Krishna consciousness can be based on hearing about Krishna and understanding his activities. But if one becomes attracted to ritualistic activities without understanding Krishna, his activities are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Sorry, about Krishna, chanting about him, remembering him, etc. Krishna Bhagavatam describes 9 different processes, besides which everything is done and is favorable to Krishna consciousness.
Um, Srila Rup Goswami has also quoted a definition from the Narada Pancharatra uh, as follows: one should be freely from all material destination and by Krishna consciousness must be cleansed of all material contaminations. He should be restored to his pure identities and in which he engages his sense in the service of proprietor of the sense. So when our sense are engaged for Krishna, the actual proprietor of the sense, that activity is called devotional services. In other conditional state, our sense are engaged in serving the bodily demands. When the same sense are engaged in executing the order of Krishna, our activities are called bhakti. As long as one identified himself as belonging to a certain family, a certain society, or a certain nation, he is said to be covered with destination. When one is fully aware that he does not belong to any family, society, or country, but he is eternally related to Krishna, he then realizes that his energy should be employed not in the interest of so society or country, but in the interest of Krishna. This is a this is purity of purpose and the platform of pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness.
Six features of pure bhakti. Next, Rupa Goswami gives six unique features of pure devotional service. Pure devotional service brings immediately relief from all kinds of material distress. Pure devotional service is the beginning of all auspiciousness. Pure devotional service automatically puts one in transcendental pleasure. Pure devotional service is rarely achieved. Those in pure devotional service derive even the conception of liberation. Pure devotional service is the only means to attract Krishna. Krishna is all attractive, but pure devotional service attracts even him. This means that pure devotional service is even transcendentally stronger than Krishna himself, because it is Krishna's internal potency. Krishna consciousness brings relief from all material distress. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that one should surrender unto Him, giving up all other engagements. The Lord also gives His word there that He will protect surrendered souls from the reactions of all sinful activities. Rupa Goswami says that the distresses from sinful activities are due to both the sins themselves and to sins committed in our past life. Generally, one commits sinful activities due to ignorance. But ignorance is no excuse for evading the reaction, distresses. Sinful activities are of two kinds, those which are mature and those which are not mature. The sinful activities for which we are suffering at the present moment are called mature, and the many sinful activities stored within us for which we have not yet suffered are considered immature. For example, a man may have committed criminal acts but not yet been arrested for them. Now, as soon as he is detected, arrest is awaiting him. Similarly, for some of our sinful activities, we are awaiting distresses in the future, and for others, which are mature, we are suffering at the present moment.
In this way, there is a chain of sinful activities and their mm, concomitant experiences and conditions for suffering life after life due to these sins. He is suffering in present life the result of sinful activities from his past life, and he is meanwhile creating further suffering for his future life. Mature sinful activities are exhibited if one is suffering from some chronic disease. If one is suffering from if someone is suffering from legal implication, if one is born in the low or degraded family, or if one is uneducated or very highly or very ugly. There are many results of past sinful activities for which we are suffering at the present moment, and we may be suffering in the future due to our present sinful activities. But all of these reactions to sinful deeds can immediately be stopped if we wake to Krishna consciousness. As evidence for this, the Rupa Goswami quotes a verse from the Bhagavatam. This verse is in connection with Krishna's instruction to Uddhava, where he says, "My dear Uddhava, devotional service to me is just like a blazing fire that can burn into ashes, unlimited fuel supplied to it. The purport is that as the blazing fire can burn any amount of fuel to ashes, the devotional service to to the Supreme Lord in Krishna consciousness can bring up all the fuel of sinful activities. For example, in the Gita, Arjuna thought that fighting was a sinful activity, but Krishna engaged him on a battlefield under his order. So the fighting became devotional service. Arjuna was not subjected to any sinful corruption. Sri Rupa Goswami quotes a verse from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in which Devahuti addresses her son Kapil Deva as an incarnation of Krishna, who taught a type of yoga called Sankhya Yoga, and says, "My dear Lord, there are 9 different kinds of devotional service, beginning from hearing and chanting. Anyone who hears about your pastimes, who chants your glories, who offers you obeisances, who thinks of you in this way, executes any 9 kinds of devotional service, even if he is born in a family of dog eaters, becomes immediately qualified to perform sacrifices. As such, how is it possible that anyone can actually engage in devotional service and feel Krishna consciousness has not become purified? It is not possible. One who is engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service has without doubt become freed from all contamination of material sensual activities. Devotional service, therefore, has the power to actually nullify all kinds of reaction to sinful deeds. A devotee is nevertheless um, always alert not to commit any sinful activities. This is specific qualification as a devotee. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. State that by performing devotional service, a person who has born in a family of dog eaters may become eligible to take part in performances of the ritualistic ceremonies recommended in the Vedas. It is implied in the statement that a person born into a family of dog eaters is generally not fit for performing yajna or sacrifice. The priestly caste in charge of performing these ritualistic ceremonies recommended in the Vedas is called Brahmana order. Unless one is a Brahmana, he cannot perform these ceremonies.
The person is born in Brahmana family or in a family of dog eater due to his past activities. If the person is born in a family of dog eater, it means that his past activities were all sinful. But if even such a person takes to the path of devotional service and begins to chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He is at once fit to perform the ritual ceremonies. This means that his sinful reaction have immediately become net neutralized. It is stated in the Padma Puran that there are 4 kinds of effects due to sinful activities, which are listed as follows. First, the effect which is not yet fructified. The effect second, the effect which is lying as seed. Third, the effect which is already mature. And fourth, the effect which is already mature. It is also stated that all these four effects became immediately van- vanquished for those who surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, and became engaged in his devotional service in full Krishna consciousness.